Well, how about that? Friday the 13th comes on a Tuesday this week. It's Tuesday, the 13th day of January, not an
It is.
insignificant date in history. In 2021, as he was preparing to leave office, Donald Trump was impeached for a second time by the House of Representatives for incitement of insurrection following the January 6th Capitol attack. That came 1 week after the January 6th mess and 7 days before Joe Biden took office. It also marks the seventh anniversary when the first COVID 19 case was confirmed outside China. That was way back in 2020. How far haven't we come in history? COVID mostly is under control. Idiots are still at large. Politicians are still being silly and stupid. Crime is still happening, but we shall persevere. I'm Rayford Brown, and this is Live and Local Real Talk.
And I think you pretty well covered it all. Good morning. I'm Lee Barrows.
And good afternoon to y'all. We will see you next week.
And I knew the 13th when you said nothing happened the 13th that was significant. And I'm thinking, wait, something did. And then it struck me, this is the anniversary of my father's passing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. 9 years ago. Gosh.
Wow.
Sometimes it seems like it was yesterday, and other times it seems like it was way longer. Anyway.
Oh, my. This is going on, that's going on. And I wasn't aware of it, but WITN's reporting about a motorcycle wreck that happened over the weekend. Yeah.
Yes, tragic.
Killed the driver. According to Trooper Malcolm Yahtzee, about 8:15 Saturday evening, 53-year-old Juan Rivera of Hubert traveling on Queens Creek Road on his motorcycle.
Bless him.
An SUV driven by 40-year-old Kathia, I'm not sure, Massanet, was making a left turn out of one drive, Heron Watch Drive onto Queens Creek Road, when Yahtzee says Massanet failed to yield and entered the roadway in front of Rivera. Attempting to avoid the collision with the SUV, Rivera laid his bike down. That's what you're trained to do. However, he still collided with the SUV and was dead at the scene.
Bless him.
She is charged with failure to yield and misdemeanor death by motor vehicle. She was given a citation and is set to appear in court in April. And the investigation into that wreck is still continuing. Folks, motorcycles are they're on the negative side of having safety involved, mainly because people don't recognize motorists, those who drive four-wheelers or 18-wheelers or whatever, but four-wheelers, cars, the drivers of cars and trucks and next stuff, they don't see motorcycles as being even visible to them under many conditions. You're at nighttime, which 8:15 in the evening is going to be dark. If you're as a driver, if you look down the highway and there are lights coming, but they're a long ways away, because you don't see the one light, you see the two lights behind the one light that may be a quarter mile away.
I tell you,
it's easy to do, easy to mistake that. So you need to look twice.
Sometimes they're very hard to see. I told you one time I was going 17 south. It was 2 lanes. And I went to go get into the left lane, and I checked my mirror, all my mirrors, and got ready to go and put on my turn signal. As I started to go over, I looked again and just caught the glimpse of him.
Yeah.
It was in my blind spot and was able to move back over. And I know I probably scared him so bad.
Probably
It
did.
scared me.
Yeah.
But you have to be so careful.
Yeah, especially when you're pulling out from an intersection like that. The bike's coming along.
Yes.
And moving the speed limit or whatever he or she is driving. And it's very difficult to see them.
It is.
Seriously, because we're not accustomed to looking for them. We're accustomed to seeing some big old wide car or truck, right? That's what we're on the lookout for. And if you got a whole line of those big old cars or trucks, and at nighttime with their double headlights on, one on the left and one on the right, that single headlight doesn't catch a lot of attention. During the day, the size of the bike blends in to the background. All those other vehicles who are far enough away, they're not going to hit you.
Well,
so be careful. Take an extra look.
absolutely be careful. And if you're not sure, wait.
Yes, wait.
That's like yesterday. I was approaching the light that turns into my neighborhood. Thank you, Mayor. And there was cars coming, but I felt like I had enough room and time
Mhm.
to make my left turn. But as I started to pull out, this one car was coming fast, and I waited. I don't know. They must have been doing 80 miles an hour, and I said, "Good thing I waited."
Yeah.
So it doesn't take but just a few seconds more to be cautious. So
Yeah, if that car or approaching vehicle is getting bigger really fast, stop.
yes,
That's the key.
yes. So God bless the gentleman that lost his life. God bless him
Yeah.
and his family. The lady who was driving the car, the SUV.
Yeah.
God bless her. She made a mistake, and it cost her life. And what a sad situation
It
all
is.
the way around.
It's
Very
it's
sad.
very sad. It's not a wreck. It's an accident. I mean, it's not an accident. It is a wreck.
Yes,
'Cause
yes. 'cause
somebody
of
failed to
collision.
do
Right.
what they're supposed to do.
Right. And there's been, of course, every day in Jacksonville, every day in Onslow County, there's something. I think there was 3 vehicles involved yesterday and one towards the southwest
And
end of the county. It's just
and I'll tell you something
crazy.
else. If not in this case, but let's just take a daytime case where,
Right.
and even if they show that the approaching motorcycle is running 90 miles an hour in a 45 zone,
Yes.
yeah, he's going to get a ticket because
Right.
he was running too fast. But you're going to get a ticket too because you pulled out in front of him. So, but in this case, of course, I don't know what he was doing.
I tell you,
No indication he was speeding.
one rant I have, and look, moped riders are entitled to ride the roads too, but
I question that.
so frustrating getting behind one, and they're like in the middle of the lane to the right of the lane. You can't really pass them. They're 20 miles under the speed limit.
And they'll go around every little pothole, even if they're on the shoulder,
gosh.
off the road,
You have
Like
to
in
be
the-
so cautious around them.
like in
Yes.
that little extra piece of pavement there.
Right.
And they will, if there's a pothole there, they're not going to run through it.
Right.
They're going to weave into the traffic lane, and so you got to be careful there as you're approaching them from behind.
And bicycles.
Yeah, so
Well, let me ask you this. Okay, I've always wondered about
you're
this.
gonna make me say something to get people mad. Aren't
No,
you?
no, it's
Yeah.
like going up Country Club Road and you're going to the intersection of Bell Fork.
Okay.
There is a bike lane on your right hand side
Yep.
going down the road all the way up to the intersection. Now, if you're a vehicle and you're first in line and you're going to make a right onto Bell Fork Road, you have a bicycle coming up next to you. If you were to make that right without seeing a bicycle, who would be at fault?
You.
That's what I figured. Because I've seen a lot of cars that where the bicyclist, of course, is not stopping like they should.
That he will also be at fault. Both of you
To
can
be
be
so
charged.
careful. To be so careful out there.
You do.
This morning coming up Gum Branch, I had a lady in a small vehicle that evidently didn't like that I was doing somewhat the speed limit. I might have a mile over. And she swerved around me, got in the right lane. And of course, I passed her because my lane was moving faster than her lane moved. And she was in and out, trying to beat everybody. But yet, when we got to the intersection of Country Club and Bell Fork, who passed her again? Me. So it's not worth it.
No.
It's just not worth it. And I kept thinking there's going to be a big wreck here shortly because everybody was piled into a little group. I backed off. I was like, nope.
Just back away.
I'm not a group rider.
Back away, and you can be a witness instead of a participant.
Yes, exactly.
Bringing you up to speed on the Friday night assault here in Jacksonville. 53-year-old
Yeah.
Tamel Washington was arrested Saturday and faces charges resulting from a fight at the Montford Point Marines Association on Bryn Mawr Road. Jacksonville police responded to a call there just before 2 o'clock in the morning, just before 2 a.m., very late at night, found one man had been shot multiple times. The investigation showed that Washington was treated for stab wounds. Okay, both men were outside the Veterans Hall when police arrived. An estimated 200 other people were inside at the time. Why are you going to
2 o'clock
yeah.
in the morning.
Why are you going to a meeting like this? Montford Point Marines Association.
Right.
Why are you going there and carrying a gun?
Because a lot of people think they're so cool to be able to carry a gun everywhere they go. But I see your point.
I understand carrying it, but is there a real purpose in it? Okay. Washington is a convicted felon, so he can't have a gun in the first place.
And he was the one with the gun?
Yeah, he's the one that they say shot the other person. He was charged with assault with a deadly weapon inflicting serious injury, discharging a firearm in the city limits of Jacksonville, disorderly conduct. Apparently he was a problem when the police got there, and possession of a firearm by a felon. That investigation is ongoing. Anyone with information should contact Jacksonville PD. You're welcome to contact Crime Stoppers here as well, where you can provide information that, if helpful, could entitle you to a reward. So if you know anything about this case, if you were happen to be a witness, I'm sure the police are looking for it. Don't know who the gentleman that got stabbed was, but who got shot was. Washington was stabbed, so he's all right. But I don't know about the gunshot victim.
There's been a lot
He's
of
in the
this
hospital
lately. I mean, when we leave here Friday, we'll be like, hey, yeah, I'll be texting you this weekend.
Yeah,
because something is happening somewhere, and we're on our little text string.
Yeah,
going like, did you hear about this? Did you hear about that?
We've got that thing that never ends.
Yes.
On our system of exchanging information
We have
whenever
teams.
we have to as a group.
I don't like Teams.
I don't either.
I'd rather go back to Skype. Skype retired.
Yeah, Skype always worked for us.
Yes.
The half-wit leaders in Minnesota and the twin cities of
go.
St. Paul and Minneapolis are suing the federal government,
Yes. Go
demanding that federal agents stop enforcing the law. That's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line. That's not what they're saying, though. They're saying that they're
Stop
causing.
enforcing the law.
Mm-hmm.
Not every law, perhaps, just the ones they don't want enforced. Chances are that will include all those laws making it illegal to fraudulently steal tax dollars from people all over the country. The area is overloaded with crooked people. All right, we've got that. We know that. A lot of areas across the country are. This area has been caught. They've been caught. Those that think it's okay to set up fake programs and get money from the federal government, our money, because the money that the federal government hands out in grants or whatever, it comes from the taxpayers everywhere. It doesn't just come from the people in Minnesota. It comes from me and you and you. These people take this money, create fake programs, and take this money, and then they have used it for personal expenses, lavish vacations, airplane fares, and God knows what else they've been doing with it. Of course, what's behind the suits is the federal government enforcing laws that are on the books that required immigrants coming into the United States to do it legally. But oh no, not if they want to settle in Minnesota. It's just fine. It's just fine. Well, here's the solution. I never give you a problem without having a solution.
Okay.
Forget about deporting illegals back to where they came from. Send all of them from every state in this country to Minnesota. They can welcome them. Do not send ICE, the FBI, the DEA, or any other federal agent to assist anybody in Minnesota with anything. You want to be an island? You're all on your own. Instead, after the federal government cuts off all the money that's been stolen, reposition all of those feds at every road leading into Minnesota. They can arrest everyone who is illegally trying to get into the state or out of the state and send Minnesota the bill for housing them.
I agree. Well, the governor, in my opinion, and the mayor, Mayor Frey, They are not helping the
No,
situation.
they're inciting it.
Yeah, and I feel like, yeah, I do. And just yesterday, the governor said that he felt with ICE being there, it put everyone at risk and targets minorities over political differences. He's making this political.
Yeah, of course.
Not only is it not keeping people safe, it's putting people at risk. It's putting people they say they're targeting at risk.
Of course.
If they're targeting the bad guys, what's the problem?
For those of you who don't see the harm in what's happening
ridiculous.
in Minnesota, you need to listen up. If Minnesota's half-wit leaders win this suit to keep ICE from enforcing the laws there, what happens next? Will the Mexican and Venezuelan drug cartels and their counterparts in the United States, along with the violent gang members already in this country, MS-13, Tren de Aragua, join forces? Will they join forces, all of these people, and sue to prevent all federal, maybe even local authorities from enforcing laws affecting them? What about the owners and dealers of really fast sports cars? What if they sue, citing precedent to stop cops from enforcing pesky speeding laws they don't like? I'd like to stop the enforcement of laws that prevent us from slapping any judge that allows such a suit to get to first base. But no, they won't do that.
Well,
It's, it's a shame that this mess is happening, but
It
it's
is.
happening, and it's happening. It's going to be impacting all of us. It's already impacting us.
we had a caller yesterday bring up a scenario. What if ICE was in Jacksonville? Well,
They'd be sipping coffee because there's not a whole lot to be done.
that's true. But say they were here to take in a few people and they were on the streets and they brought up the fact, wouldn't that bother you? And I'm going to be in my house doing what I normally do and staying out of their way, let them do their thing and go on. Of course, I'm sure there would be protests, but I can say honestly, and that in Jacksonville, North Carolina, we have had numerous protests in the past, and they've all been peaceful. And they've all acted like adults, and no, they didn't wear stupid costumes. They got out there and just protested what they felt.
Now, let me tell you what would occur if ICE or anybody else comes to town to enforce laws or to do whatever. If there are people out there protesting under any conditions, if there's a hurricane and people are out roaming the streets looking for things to do, to loot, to do pillage and all that sort of good
Crazy
stuff,
enough.
you know what happens, don't you? When there is insurrection or rioting or huge protests that
Right.
are out of control,
Right.
the mayor will declare a state of emergency, or at the
Exactly.
very least will say, we have a curfew that will
Exactly.
not allow you to get on the streets after certain hours until certain other hours, unless you have a legitimate excuse or reason, not an excuse for being there. That's the first thing this mayor would do.
Well, I'm glad
And
you
the
brought
Oslo
up the
County
mayor.
commissioners would do the same thing.
Yes, because we have had circumstances in the past, mainly weather events.
Yeah.
Our mayor's always been right on top of it, and
Yes.
he's done what. But I was thinking about comparing our mayor to the mayor of Minnesota.
Don't.
There,
He will
in
be.
Minneapolis.
He will be insulted.
I am 100% confident that our mayor would not act like
I
that.
know.
He's a good mayor. He's always been there to look out for all of us, and
He also knows what the laws are.
Yes,
because
he knows
was a
what the
cop
laws
for
are.
30 years.
that's right.
The
That's
difference
right.
between him and Mr. Fry,
Yes.
Fruit
Yes.
Cake.
We're fortunate and lucky to have Sammy as our mayor,
Yep.
and we have a great
No, and
police
he's not.
chief.
Now, and he's not up for re-election or anything, so we're not
Right, so I
campaigning for
can
him.
I can talk him, and then our sheriff too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
All the sheriffs we had would not put up with this kind of garbage.
No,
You
they
know that?
wouldn't.
They all have voiced opinions, and here's what they will do. I will support ICE. I will support the FBI. We will house their prisoners as long as our jail is not full.
yeah, send that check later, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I mean, we have. I really and for those of you that want to say different, I think we have great leadership in our
We do.
county all the way around.
All the way around, yeah. And
City council, county
the
commissioners,
school system, which is
school
takes up a
system.
big chunk of it. We don't
Yes.
have what's that silly little community up there in Loudoun County?
Oh, you talking about in Virginia?
In Virginia.
Yeah,
Thank God we don't have that to put up with. So we're good.
Yes.
Got some changing weather to talk about too. High
Oh,
pressure moving
wait till
offshore
you hear
today.
it.
A low pressure system will lift off the coast Wednesday, tomorrow, just ahead of a strong cold front on Thursday. You'll have more shortly. How that impacts the marine forecast today: northwesterly winds about 5 knots, becoming southwesterly this afternoon. Seas only about 2 feet today, but they're 2 seconds apart, making some bumpy rides. Not rough, just bumpy, maybe uncomfortable. If you're running 900 miles an hour with your 450 horsepower motors on it, you probably just be airborne. Sounds and rivers will be flat, increasing to a light chop this afternoon. Tomorrow, southwesterly winds 15 to 20. Seas 3 to 5 feet, 2 to 3 near shore. Sounds and rivers choppy. A chance of rain in the morning, then rain likely in the afternoon. Now, why that's going to be important? Thursday, westerly winds, breezy.
Don't spoil it for me.
15 to 20. Becoming northwesterly 20 to 25 in the afternoon with gusts to 30 knots. Seas big, 5 to 7 feet, 3 to 5 near shore. Sounds and rivers choppy, increasing to rough in the afternoon, and that is a sign of disturbed weather.
All right, I'm going to go in a little bit more detail right now. Today, sunny with a high near 59. Calm wind becoming southwest 5 to 7 miles per hour in the afternoon. Tonight, mostly clear with a low around 36. Wednesday, a chance of afternoon showers, mostly cloudy with a high near 59. Wednesday night, a slight chance of rain, mostly cloudy with a low around 34. Thursday, write this down. Thursday, a slight chance of rain, mixing with snow after 10 a.m., then gradually ending, partly sunny with a high near 44.
A thing.
Thursday night, 17, a low of 17. So we'll watch the weather.
A thing.
It all could change.
When did we have the thunder and lightning here? It was just recently, because we mentioned what's 10 days.
Been past 10 days.
Has it been past 10 days?
I think so.
I don't know.
The last time we had rain was this past weekend.
Aw.
Before that, it was a week or two before that. I know for the entire year so far, which has been 13 days, I've had a total 0.17 inches of rain, so we had rain before then. It was on a Saturday. Remember that Saturday that it rained a lot? It was the first Saturday in January.
So we passed 10 days.
So we're past 10 days.
No,
Well, it was their meeting. I
First
know
Saturday was the third.
Wait a minute. I'll tell you when
The
it was.
first Saturday was the third.
It was our meeting date,
The third.
which was the 3rd.
Today
So
was 10
today's
days
10
ago.
days.
Hmm.
Phew.
Maybe.
That was a lot of figuring out there.
Over to Oregon we slide. Why didn't someone blow up the old Oregon Trail 200 years ago?
Why?
Might have slowed down the stupidity.
No.
Election officials are gearing up to start removing hundreds of thousands of inactive voters from the state's registration rolls, a move that comes after years of inaction, mounting public pressure, and lawsuits filed against the state over the past few months. Oregon's Democratic Secretary of State Tobias Reed, in a press release, outlined 2 new directives he said will restart the routine cleanup of outdated, inactive voter registration records, and that's in accordance with state law to address the roughly 800,000 inactive voter records that are being maintained by election officials. Their books are got to be really cluttered, They got almost 1 million people that are not even supposed to be voting.
80 degrees.
That can't be voting because they have not been voting. The first directive orders counties to immediately cancel long inactive voter registrations that already met the legal requirements for removal before 2017. See, they stopped removing them in 2017. They haven't removed any since 2017, but there were people, even in 2017, who were supposed to have been removed, and they didn't. There have been more since then.
There's a lot of that.
These are registrations where election mail was returned as undeliverable, voters failed to respond to official notices, and they did not participate in multiple federal elections. In other words, they've been through since 2017. You had an election in 2020. You had an election in 2024, federal elections. And in between times, in the midterm elections, those are also called federal elections because every member in the House of Representatives and 1/3 of the senators, roughly a third of the senators, each election cycle every 2 years is up for re-election. So every 2 years, there was 20, actually in 2017, again in 2018, again in 2020, 22, 24, and all of those federal election cycles, and people have not voted, and they're still on the registration list in Oregon. That's got to be a nightmare.
Yes. Yes.
State officials estimate about 160,000 registrations fall into this category that were supposed to have been removed in 2017 and were not, and should have been removed years ago. The second directive changes how the state handles inactive voters going forward. It updates the language on voter confirmation cards to clearly warn voters that their registrations will be canceled if they do not respond or vote within the required time frame. State officials say this step restores a process that allows routine cleanup of inactive registrations under federal law. Children who are voters or registered voters here in Onslow County, North Carolina, wherever you are, why don't you take a look at the North Carolina, check yourself out.
Right.
With the Board of Elections. You can
And
do
see-
that. All you got to do is put your name in and your birthday
Yeah.
if
I'll
they ask
put the
you
link
for it.
right here on the page
And
for
then
you.
just check to see if you're registered and find out when the last time if you can't remember voting in a federal election, you may not be on, because in North Carolina, you get removed after you miss a couple of federal elections.
Right.
Now, the thing is, you do not have to re-register every year or every voting cycle. You don't have to.
Oh, you don't get removed. You get inactive.
Yes.
Yes.
But then you will be removed.
Well,
When the time comes up, you will be, after you miss 2 federal elections.
no,
That's what the law is. They will, when they go through to purge them, they purge them. If they find you registered at another location, they're going to purge you.
well, that's true. But they're not going to remove you if you miss 2 federal elections. I'm going to check on that.
Okay.
I will
That's
check
what
on
the
that
law says.
because you could be right and I could be wrong, or vice versa.
Or versa versa.
Versa.
Anyway, but don't fear. If you vote in the federal elections, you're not going to have to worry because you just stay registered, you stay active. There's not a problem. However, I would check my voter registration on before any election to make sure
Yes.
I'm good to go. And I wouldn't do it, wait until election day.
No.
It's in March, y'all. If you need to be up to date, if you've moved anything to save yourself the aggravation at the polls and to save the poll workers aggravation,
Oh, yes.
check your stuff now. And if you need to change your address, do so.
I'll put the link on our pages here.
If you need to bring yourself up to date, do it now. You've got time. It's January. What else you going to do, for God's
Right.
sakes? Now, when you do all of this after the election, and let's just say you didn't vote, you were in the hospital like somebody I know was, and did
It
not
happens.
vote in 2022 because you did not like early voting and you refused to do it, but it caught you and it hit you, slapped you upside the head one time. But if you did not vote, you did not vote. After the election, about 30 days out, 45 days out after the election, check your registration
Yes.
to see if
very
somebody
wise.
voted for you.
And you never know.
And if they did, you need to report it.
You never
Hello.
know. A lot of people were going to the DMV when they were getting their license, and they were filling out their voter registration to become
Just
registered.
verify it.
And a lot of people were finding out after the fact that they were put in as an unaffiliate. I had a young lady that was running for U.S. House from this area, and she came to a district meeting and she stood up and said, I'm running for the U.S. House. Well, of course, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to verify who you are. And, you're at a Republican meeting, so I'm going to make sure. Found out she was unaffiliated. So I called her on the way home and I said, did you know you're unaffiliated? She goes, no, I'm not. I go, yeah, you are. According to the
verify if you
state.
Register anywhere else. The DMV is their primary mission is to handle Department of Motor Vehicles information.
Exactly.
That's their job.
That
right. Other stuff is a byproduct.
That's right.
Registering to vote or making sure you are.
Right.
That's sort of a byproduct.
Right.
Sometimes it may go through, it may not. They got computers that may not talk to the feds.
Right.
May not talk to the State Board of Elections. You don't know.
Right.
I trust everyone not.
Well, she told me, she says, well, when I registered, I did it at the DMV, so they must have messed it up. I'm not saying they did or didn't.
Or she clicked the wrong box.
Anything
easy.
Could happen. But at that time, we had a lot of issues with people saying the same thing. But, it's very easy to fix. Check your voter registration before voting comes up, and make sure you have it. If you've moved, then you need to change your address. Because if you go to the Commons on election day and say, but I always vote here, early voting, and then you find out because of your address change, you're due to be, it's just so many little things. And I've seen people walk in to vote, came out very upset, cussing and ranting and raving, but it all boiled down to they didn't keep up with their voter registration. So that's something right there that you just, and March 3rd is voting day. That 2 weeks of it, which I think is way too much, but just my opinion. But yeah, you've got plenty of time now. And now early voting, you can go in and take care of all your stuff in one stop and get your updates and stuff like that. But you know what? Why wait to then?
Don't wait until the last minute to do this kind of stuff. It's just
early voting. I have walked right in and been right out in less than 5 minutes. So what took me the longest was coloring in the block.
And what I still will not do, I'm not going to run down there on day one because somebody, you can rest assured that when the early voting starts, there's going to be somebody that I may have supported,
right?
That I may have decided this is the person I'm going to vote for, that will say or do something
stupid,
totally stupid, something that I would not vote for him or her for dog catcher because I like the dogs and cats too much.
Yeah.
They may do something, say something, or whatever.
And
when it happens, I can change my mind in a heartbeat. I can change my mind all the way up to the time I color in that little block.
There was a candidate. Well, he's no longer a candidate, but there was a gentleman that put his name out there to run against Greg Murphy in the 3rd district. When he first came out, pretty laid back or whatever. And he has decided now not to run. He was a Republican. He felt like the Republican Party was not supporting him, so he changed to another party. I'm not sure what it was, Libertarian or something. But he has absolutely gone off the hook with a lot of his postings lately. With all this that happened in Minnesota with the death of that lady, he has been posting vile stuff on Facebook that no one should be posting. And he's received death threats. He's even put on some of the phone calls, the voicemail on the phone calls, people threatening him. And now he's come out with this, well, it was a test. I did it all on purpose just to prove a point.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it might be. I mean, I've done silly things to do tests, but stuff out there.
His was beyond. Rayford, it was off the chain. You would just be like going, I'm very disappointed.
Oh, you'd be surprised what I have done.
But yeah, no. Anyway, it's just like, see, and what if he was still a candidate?
Well,
So yeah, research your candidates very well. And if you have questions, especially about a local one, if you want to call me or send me a text, I'll send you their number
Mhm.
that you can talk to them directly.
Yeah, their numbers once they file for office
That's
are,
why they're
are
public.
public.
Yeah.
Um,
And they also, most of them all have websites. And by now, what they're running for.
how do I do this? Well, it doesn't matter. If you're going to run, or if you are running, if you're going to run for a public office or something like that, you need
Right.
to understand that uh, if it's Onslow County, for instance, the vast majority of the people in
Mm-hmm.
Onslow County, regardless of how they're registered, even Democrats, they're conservatives.
Right.
They're not out there
Yes.
to the left wing Looney Tunes.
Right.
And now, regardless of what you're running for, you're going to have to appeal to those kinds of people in elections. If you go radical, um, if you're a dude and you put a mohawk hairdo and you paint it purple or
Right.
green or orange or whatever,
Pink.
you are right up front, because first perception is going to be the one that a lot of people will keep. And whatever you do after that, they're still not going to trust you. They're not going to believe you.
Well,
So your first is, okay, gentlemen, you go to a place and your date that you've made arrangements for online or whatever is like, you got to be kidding me. Not looks, but just the way that she is
presenting
presenting herself.
Right.
And no, you just don't want to be seen in public with somebody like that. Not that there's anything wrong with the way they are. It's just, if whatever they're doing, they probably need to be set up for the occasion.
Everyone has the right to their style.
Of course
I understand that. But one thing you need to consider, and I've been in this for a very long time. I've worked for a lot of candidates. I've done a lot of stuff on the road at the polls and stuff. But one thing, if you're a new candidate and you were running for an elected office, you need to, if you're going out to, say, a meet and greet, or you're having a meet and greet, or you're going to a public place where there's other candidates there, I would suggest to you to dress nice. Nothing outrageous, nothing crazy, no pink mohawks, no overabundance of earrings, nose rings, lip rings. This is a very conservative community.
It is.
And it's the older people that more or less kind of guide the younger people in voting. And the older people look at that. Case in point, and you're going to know exactly what I'm going to say. Case in point, 2015. We had a young man that decided to run for county commissioner. He came out to some of the meetings and some of the other get-togethers, and he was himself. He wore a little like golf hat is what I call him, spiked hair, tattoos, biker's jacket, and people were like going, who is he and why is he running? Now, he changed his image in order to adapt to people.
And it doesn't mean that he's changing the way he thinks or what he believes or anything else, or she or whatever. It's just that, first of all, you've got to get somebody's attention, and you want to do it in a positive way, not in a like, and there's no way on God's green earth.
He was given a lot of grief, especially over his tattoos. There were other candidates running for that office.
We can't do
for
anything about those.
And he covered them.
Yes.
He covered them. And there was other candidates that were just saying vicious things about him mainly because of his tattoos.
And they didn't know him.
They did not know him. So, and I would tell you,
they won't take the opportunity to get to know you. If they get turned off, it takes a lot to turn that spigot back on.
Yes, it does. And of course, he went on to become a commissioner, serving his third term, and has done a fantastic job.
Sure.
And, you know, you can't always judge a book by the cover, but I'm telling you, while you're running for office, you need to present yourself in a more business-like way, I would say. You know, I'm not saying you have to wear suit and tie.
Oh, heavens no, not around here.
Right, right. Not around here,
You
but
can't judge a book by its cover. You said that. But here's what you can do.
right,
A bland book
right,
may or may not get any attention.
right.
A book with a crappy cover
Mm-hmm.
will get some negative attention.
Right,
A book with a great cover,
right,
whether it's got any content or not, will be pulled from the shelf first
Right.
and looked at. Case in point, what I used to harp on when I was doing commercial photography, and I did a lot of what they call the brochures, the cards at motels for the
Yes.
most part that I shot
Yes.
for. They had them in the visitor centers all over everywhere, and they sent these brochures. If they were in a rack at the visitor center or wherever they were displayed with everybody else from that location.
right.
The picture that was on the front of that little brochure, it doesn't matter how great it looks inside or anything else, that exterior shot is going to get your attention.
Yes.
The interior shot, unless you got trapezes hanging from the ceiling or whatever, is not going to get your attention. Every motel room looks alike, generally speaking, in a picture.
Right.
You can't make it look too bad, but the outside, that's where the attention needs to be first and foremost. You know,
Yes.
first
you have
impression.
to.
That's what
And
makes you
that's what's important.
Yep.
And Rayford, it's just like, you know, I owned a business, an armed guard business, and I worked it. I carried a gun. I wore a badge. And I was in uniform out on the streets. But I never wore excessive makeup, just a little bit. I never wore jewelry except maybe little earrings. I always dressed appropriately because, especially for a woman, to get any respect, sometimes you can't overdo the fact that you're a woman. I would have female guards that I would hire, and I'd go out on the job to check on them. They're wearing spike boots, dangling earrings, red lipstick, and I'm like, nope, 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 nope. You go home.
those were the funnest people when they, you know, if they were dressed like that
Right.
and you had to arrest them, those were the fun people to
But
arrest
the
because
thing about it
knock them off
is,
those heels and they're down.
you have to make a good impression in order to gain the respect.
Mhm.
And I have seen candidates in the past, like our buddy Eric, that ran for the school board.
He had such great potential.
He
He
decided
got great ideas.
he dyed his hair pink
Mhm.
and he cut it and he had it straight up in a mohawk.
Mhm.
That was Eric.
Yeah.
He was having fun with it. He was making his own statement. But when it comes down to voting for someone like that versus voting for someone over here that's not so
Flamboyant.
flamboyant, and you like both of them and they both have a good platform, they're going to vote for the person that's not as flamboyant,
Absolutely.
that looks more put
More
together, more normal.
Yeah. And normal is in the eye of the beholder. It's
Exactly.
not in my eye unless I'm the beholder. If I'm looking at somebody, I don't judge them as quickly as most people do because I've run into people in all walks and all types and everything else, right? Especially doing photography, commercial photography, and I ran into everybody.
Mhm.
I don't judge as quickly as 98% of the people do.
Right,
Most
right.
people make quick, snap decisions, judgment calls based upon their first impressions, their first comments, their looks. When
Mhm.
they walk in, they see something. You go to a restaurant. What do you do? You see flies moving around the place. If you see crappy food there, if that salad bar is all filthy,
Get up and walk out. No, I'm not eating it.
absolutely.
Right.
If it's not neat, then you just figure very
Right,
quickly because
exactly.
people are going to mess it up. But that's the reason people with good restaurants they're
Right.
constantly straightening stuff up. If the tables are all in disarray, if the dishes are left on the table have not been bussed, by the time you get up and get out of the restaurant, there should be somebody there stripping that table.
Right. I just think that
People just got to understand. That's what
Right.
you got to
Candidates
put on a little
need-
bit of like, I got to get your attention first.
Yeah, let's put you. They
In a
need
good
to
way.
put out a positive image to begin with.
Absolutely.
And I don't know how in the world we got all the way over there.
It was your fault.
My fault, but
Yeah, it was.
no, I mean we just got talking about candidates, and I don't know what you started with. Waiting till almost election day or
Mhm.
election day to cast your vote because somebody may come out with something that you don't like, and you're like, I was going to vote for them, but
On
I'll
Saturday,
change.
the 24th, and Sunday, the 25th of this month, that's coming up in less than 2 weeks. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, where did the time go? Is what they call amateur radio winter field day. They've had a field day
It's
in
getting
June
cold.
every year for the last 228 years.
Right.
I don't know, ever since the beginning of time or beginning of amateur radio or shortly
Mhm.
thereafter. And it's where a bunch of hams will get together or individuals will do it. And the idea is to be able to go out, set up, and test your abilities to talk to people anywhere or around. And so, in times of emergency, which is what hams do, in times of emergency, they provide communications for uh, law enforcement, fire departments, emergency services, all sorts, uh, in between agencies. That when their stuff goes down, and it will at some point in time, because most of them have a single point of failure.
Right.
If their equipment goes down, the ham radio guys, because we're innovative and we don't abide by the rules, except the federal communication rules, we don't follow
Which
the
is a
standard
must.
guidelines
Right.
about what we don't say. No, we can't be done. No, it can be done. We will make it happen. That's not going to be an issue. But that Saturday, it's a week from this coming Saturday and Sunday at the Onslow Sheriff's Office training range. We invite y'all to stop by.
there.
We're going to be set up there, and we're going to be operating multiple transmitters, stations, where we will have teams switching off every hour or two, and to carry on and try to make as many what we call contacts, talk to as many people around the country, mostly around this country. But there will be a lot of foreign countries operators there who will
Right.
be participating as
I'm
well.
going to talk to Brazil.
And we do that on a regular basis. But we do it for this time for over a 30-hour period of time,
Mhm.
and it is a little competitive. We're competing with other stations in our class. Our class will be multi-operator. I think we're going to operate 4 stations constantly, and that's what we're doing. You're welcome to stop by there. We go on the air at 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock Saturday.
We're setting up, and probably not a good time for most of you to be around because we're running antennas and doing all that stuff beginning at 8 o'clock in the morning. So we're going to set up a complete multi-station operation, and you're invited to stop by and say, hey. And if you have any interest in whether it's in amateur radio or whether it's just out of curiosity, you're nosy, cool, come on by. And if any of our elected or officials or anybody that working for any of the elected officials, if you're a police officer, if you're an EMS person, if you are a 911 dispatcher,
Or if you're a senator who has a ham radio license, you can come by and take a chair.
Our North Carolina senator from Onslow County, he's a ham. And he was by last year, and he was by, I guess, the year before that too, as well. So we enjoy having them there, and you might want to get an idea. It might even interest you. Last year, and it's not that tough. You go into it thinking, "Oh my God, I've heard all these stories about how tough it is." Now, if you buckle down and study for 2 weeks, you got it. You got a technician class.
2 months.
I said, if you buckle down and study for 2 weeks and ask questions and do it the right way.
I fought it hard.
And there's no Morse code that you have to learn anymore. That used to be the stumbling block for so many people. It's not required anymore. You don't have to do Morse code.
Right.
After you get licensed and you decide, hey, this would be cool. I'd like to do what these other guys are doing. And they just operate with the Morse code and operate with a key and have fun. That is fun because you're doing something that 99.99% of the people in this country cannot do. They don't know Morse code. They cannot transmit or receive it. But it's the whole process is fun.
Right. Yeah, so it is
come
fun.
on
It's
out,
a great hobby.
Take a look, see, and you don't have to make an appointment. None are required. Just stop by. You don't have to be a registered voter. Just stop by.
Registered voter. I like that, Rayford. You don't have to be a
You don't
registered
have to
voter.
have an ID card to get in there.
No,
Hello,
and you get to
come on
visit
down.
the training center too. Very,
Now, if you're a
very
ham radio operator and you
nice.
want to sit down there and chat with a little bit of time, or you're going to have a license.
Yes, but you get to visit the training center. It's very nice. Congratulations, Onslow County and the sheriff's office. That is a beautiful
And to
piece
those
of
fine
property.
folks that got the money for this facility.
Yes,
We know our
sirree.
senator did.
Yes,
He
of
was
course he
involved in
did.
that big time.
Well,
So
Oh.
anyway, that's just a plug for them, and we'll be there. Lee's going to be out there. I'm going to be out there. A whole bunch of other folks are going to be out there.
I got to decide what to bring to eat. Are you going to make chili?
No, somebody else is going to make chili. I heard.
Well, I don't know. I'm thinking about. Yeah, we'll talk about it later. But anyway, let's move to Ohio.
Why?
Last week, I brought up, and Chris along with me, we discussed the murder of Spencer Tepe and his wife Monique in their townhome
Yep.
in the middle of the night. Their 2 children were left unharmed,
And who was arrested?
and they have made an arrest in this murder. And
Sad.
it turned out to be the ex-husband of Monique Tepe. Now, they have been divorced for 7 years. And there's been a lot of
And he was
questions.
remarried too.
Yes, there's been a lot of questions as to why after 7 years, and it appears that they had a cut dry divorce. Boom! After 7 months of marriage, she didn't want to be married to me anymore. They split what little bit they had, which I didn't have anything really, and within a couple months were divorced, and she moved on. Been a lot of speculation, and from what I've read and seen and heard, I'm just kind of thinking that this was kind of my opinion, it was like, it's I can't have you, nobody will type of situation. And it festered and it festered and it festered for years and years to the point that he just decided no more. But this is going to be interesting. He is a vascular surgeon
Mhm.
in Illinois.
Mhm.
And he traveled that is 7 hours.
Mhm.
He traveled from his home in Illinois to the home in Ohio and entered into the townhouse, which we don't know yet. There's no details yet of how he got in, because there's a keypad code you have to use. I have my suspicions, but he entered into the home, shot Spencer twice and shot Monique once in the chest and killed them, and then walked back out and left. But so far, what the police aren't saying, well, they've put out a little bit of information, but through neighborhood cameras, people have Ring doorbells.
Yeah, they do.
Those cameras, they were able to capture this person where he parked,
Yeah.
him walking,
Yeah.
and they've put down the time of death at 3:52 based on what evidence they have. He went in, shot him, came back out, followed him back to his car. They were able to get license plate readers on his vehicle. They were able to track it all the way back to Illinois. And of course, they were able to run it. It was his own personal vehicle, so it came back to him. This has been a crazy one.
Well, people who do that are crazy, and they're going to make a lot of mistakes. I
crazy.
mean, you know what?
Yes.
And it's in today, in today's world of people wanting to be secure in their homes,
Right.
Too bad that he was able to get in unannounced, but good that he got caught because of everybody else
Exactly.
and their doorbell cameras, and there's other security cameras,
Exactly.
and also the technology that the law enforcement has,
Yes.
and being able to track people.
Your cell phone tracks you.
Yeah.
Your Apple Watch
I
tracks
don't
you.
have an Apple Watch.
Well, Apple, I have an Android, but it tracks you. It can tell the police when your heart stopped beating. Your cell phone tracks you because your cell phone hits towers as you
Yes.
travel along.
It
and there's record of it.
It automatically switches from tower to tower, and there are towers everywhere.
And your cell phone, if you say he just had it in his back pocket when he went in to shoot them, to kill them. Well, that cell phone more than likely is going to do a handshake with their cell phones that are in there. They have a way of talking to each other, doing what they call a handshake. That's going to show too if he had taken his cell phone in with him.
I like the fools out there that think that I'll just turn my cell phone off and I go do bad things. You do know that they can turn your cell phone on.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. And another thing is vehicles nowadays, like I have a 2022. And before that, there are in your panel, in your vehicle, there are GPS tracking. They can go into my system and tell me every single place I have been, what my speed was, when I braked hard, when I sat. It tells you everything. There's so much everywhere.
Even before they had it on vehicles way back when, and it wasn't doing it for meanness. It was doing it for safety on my part. I had all of our company cell phones.
Right.
I had them programmed so that I could punch up any number and say where this person is at that time, how long they have been parked there, and if they happen to be parked at the parked at the strip club, for the last 4 hours, and they're not and they're supposed to be working.
Yes,
that's a problem. Well, wait a minute now. You're checking on no, they got my cell phone that I paid for, the company paid for.
Right.
I have an obligation to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And also, in case something happens to you during this period of time, I can, we can send people to find you, at least find your phone.
That's a whole nother can of worms that you opened right there. And, is it right for an employer to track an employee while they're on their payroll?
It's right for them to track them if they furnish the telephone.
Right.
If as an employer, I'm furnishing the cell phone, that is another way to track you for safety reasons. And also to make sure that you are where you're supposed to be. Also to help for you to be located in case you get lost.
Right.
You have any idea how many new people come to employment in a TV station as reporters? They can't find their way around town in the first week or two. Imagine going to Wilmington as a reporter and you're just dumped into the streets of Wilmington all by your lonesome.
Yep.
And then you not know where you are.
Wilmington.
I sent a reporter, are you ready? To Holly Ridge. I said, take 17 and go to Holly Ridge. Not a problem, right?
Right.
2 hours later, where are you? I just passed the North Carolina, South Carolina state line. I said, you went wrong way on 17. There's two choices.
Oh my gosh.
Did you not figure out that in 30 minutes, if you weren't there, you should have let me know?
Well, not only that, look it up or do something. My goodness.
That was before the GPS days, but
right.
God, I had road maps for everybody, every car. I had city maps. Remember those days? You got city maps? I had city maps for every car.
Oh, I remember.
For every city we were in.
We used to have a huge one that would fill up the whole wall at the post office of every street in Jacksonville, including the county. Yeah. So, yes.
Okie dokie. Congressman Murphy was supposed to be calling us this morning. I just found out he's had a medical thing done, and he's not available today, and they forgot to notify me, but that's all right.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, we'll be in touch with him after the show, or with them after the show. I had contact with him about a week or two ago, so he didn't say anything about it, but
right.
And anyway, sometimes you get people and things happen and don't happen. You know how it
does, and especially that was me. I just sent you a text. It's about tomorrow. Yes.
Coming up in a few minutes, we have a city councilman coming in, right?
Yes, we do. Jacksonville City Council man is coming in here, and let me make sure. Let me check my.
Let's see if he's changed his mind. Wants to back out now.
I don't have any. No, I'm not coming. So, he'll be here shortly.
I know.
Sure. But yeah, I'll find out what's happening in the city now. It's nice to have a city representative coming in on a regular basis.
Yeah, we've had them sporadically, but things were. I hate to put it. Things were always so calm in the city.
Yeah.
As far as the government,
right?
The city council was concerned. It was just like, okay, oh yeah, we do have a city council. but they were just such smooth sailing, and it was our fault. We should have insisted, forced, we can't force, but requested, regular updates from city council, from the mayor. I mean, we tried to get the mayor in here periodically because I say, what's the state of the city?
He's got to go golfing now. Leave his
Come
golf
on.
time alone.
He can't. He doesn't need to go golfing.
Leave his golf time alone.
We'll send Chris out there to go golfing with him. Oh, there you go. I wonder if Chris would take him on.
Yeah.
And Chris is out today, by the way. His wife, the one we keep making fun of, with her encounter with the squirrels.
She had surgery yesterday.
Yeah, she did.
So on her wrist,
she's wearing a squirrel
doing
skin
well.
cap.
Right. I'll come back and check, make sure I have this right. Oh no. Gotta go through 100 texts.
100.
There we go. Tuesday, 8 p.m. 8 o'clock. Okay, yeah, he'll be here any minute.
If you told him 8 p.m., you got a problem.
No,
we won't be here.
You know what I meant.
I know what you meant. Did he?
Well, talk about social media and people, social media, and using it to go. Oh, man. Here's a 12-year-old girl shot dead with an AK-47 in her sleep after a social media feud turned violent. 12 years old.
Why?
21-year-old Javen Connor has been handed a prison sentence of over 6 decades for his involvement in the shooting of 3 homes, which tragically resulted in the death of a 12-year-old girl who was asleep in her bed. The shooting was carried out as an act of retaliation over a social media post. As reported by the Dayton Daily News, Connor, hailing from Ohio, was sentenced on Thursday to 64 years life in prison for the murder of 7th grader Isabella Carlos. The crime was committed alongside his 24-year-old accomplice, who was also found guilty last month in a separate trial. She was laying in her bed, and he was mad at a social media post, and he walked in and shot her in the head.
A 12-year-old female, 7th grader, and he walks in, however, and she's asleep, and he shoots her.
Right.
We got a problem.
Yes.
We got a problem. How many years did he get? 60 years?
67-year plans. Should have been life with no parole. Maybe the death penalty.
No, there's no maybe about that.
Yeah.
That's a clear-cut case of being mean.
I'm telling you what, people use social media. It's just, goodness gracious.
They do.
I had to just turn mine off for a while because every time I opened it, it was this person with their opinion on what happened in Minnesota, and then all the arguments, and then this person with the opposite opinion, and it got to be ridiculous. I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this, Mike.
We have a visitor in here. We have a city councilman in here.
Yes, we do.
The
Councilman.
newest city councilman.
Yanero.
Real close to the newest.
That dog just loves you.
Yeah, I know. That's his canine. That's for, Shockwave is here for protection.
Yes.
Mike Yanero, how are you doing?
Good. How about you?
I'm fine. Did you come in here to say I've decided that after a couple of meetings I've had enough?
No, not yet.
But you're leaving your options open apparently by saying not yet.
No. I mean, it's been a interesting time, because I know a lot about law enforcement, and I know a lot about city government, but like the water and the sewer and the planning, all those things. All
those things that the rest of us have to know about, not know about, but we just have to know that it's available, it's coming. And when I put my trash out there by the highway and one of the wheels is falling off of the recycle bin, and I need to make calls and tell people about it, don't I?
Yeah, definitely.
You didn't know anything. I've already done it. You didn't last night. You didn't know. You don't.
Well,
you didn't know you had to do things like that or deal with it.
Well, I mean, when you talk about water and sewer, that drives the growth. And,
you take it for granted. We do.
Yeah, but it's very important when we're talking about, as we look at the last council meeting, we had a couple of annexations, and making sure that we have the capacity so that we can grow.
Right.
and that we can get other businesses in here and make our community more prosperous.
Bring in some more businesses, and that's I love brick and mortar stores. I just wish they were supported more by local government, but by the people out there. Instead of me
Right.
walking out here or seeing these trucks going by or whatever with tons and tons and tons of boxes that have to be recycled. Now that also adds to your issues to the city by disposal of
And
sanitation.
we just
You
had
know?
a presentation about
Right.
the cost of, it used to be that it paid for itself, but now it's not near
Really.
as cost effective as it was in the past.
So maybe we should just take all these boxes and burn them out back.
I don't know about that.
There's other pesky laws out there.
Well, I mean, it's good for the environment.
Yeah.
But, it's not as, a number of years ago, we didn't charge, the city wasn't charged. In fact, they were paid, and they are still paid to some extent.
Not
not as
to
much.
help the cost, I'm
Right.
sure.
Yeah. So,
Well, it's good. It's good that we're able as a society to do this recycling, and we're at the point here. We have 2 bins outside,
Mhm.
rolling carts.
Right.
We have the traditional big old garbage thing. Then we have a smaller one, the blue one, that's for recycling. My recycling has got more stuff in it than the garbage container.
That's the way mine used to be until they changed it and have so many restrictions.
Mine still is because I've got a little device that I use to cut up the cardboard. I can put 15 big cardboard boxes in this container because I got a little device that I bought a couple of years
Well,
ago.
I have one of those
And
too.
you just don't know how
but
to use it, but I do. I can cut that stuff down to size.
well, I mean, it's good for. It actually is to some extent cost effective because all that stuff, that recycling stuff, doesn't go to the landfill.
Right.
Right.
And the landfill is finite, and so
Yeah, it's going to run out of room sooner or later.
yeah, and they're very expensive to operate, and as county taxpayers, we're paying for that,
Yes.
and we want it to be as cost effective as we can. So recycling is extremely
It's the way to
important.
go.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm happy to do it. My wife will sit there and tell you, I just sit there with that thing because I cut those cardboard boxes up and everything else. And it's amazing that I could actually put as much stuff. Cutting it on a cardboard box doesn't take any space if it's trimmed down to a small size.
And part of what Lee was talking about is being restrictive. The important part about that is that all that stuff has to be sorted.
Yes.
And when it gets sorted, I mean that takes time and effort. And so what I think the city has tried to do over the past several years is look at how we could be more efficient so that we could keep our costs down.
I saw in a vacation, I go down for fun to an island down in the Caribbean, and it's several locations there, generally around stores where you buy groceries and whatever. They have a big series of recycled bins there. One says plastic, and it has a picture because everybody doesn't read the same language. Plastic here, they give samples of what to put in that one. You've got clean trash here, paper bags and stuff like that here. They got cans here. They got bottles here. You got plastic bottles there, but they break it down. So people will go through and you see everybody up there because the people that vacation there, they love this little island, and they take it and they put that stuff in there, bring it, instead of just depending upon somebody else to do it.
Well, and that's part of, I mean, a lot of communities do that.
Yeah.
A lot of communities, you have to drive and you have to,
Sure.
but we're lucky here because the city picks it up, sorts it, and then makes sure it gets to the right place.
It would be nice if they'd be able to have it. I don't know how you would do it with existing equipment, the trucks that pick the stuff up.
Right.
I don't know how you would do it, but it would be great to be able to sort it
Mhm.
at the scene.
Yeah, it will be.
Is Sunoco still the contractor for the recycling?
Yes.
Yeah. And I remember when they changed it, and I remember asking the mayor about this because it used to be that I would have a half a bag of trash regular trash
Yeah.
at the end of the week. But my recycle bin was full because I was recycling
Yep.
everything. And they changed companies. And like you said, to be more cost effective. So then there came a point where there were certain things they wouldn't take, like the plastic grocery bags you get from the store when you buy groceries. Those are not recyclable, not in the city here.
You can take it to the grocery store.
I very seldom get them anyway because I have little baskets that I carry and put my groceries in. So much easier. But there was quite a few things like disposable cups, like your red Solo cup. They won't take those, and it used to be whenever I had a dinner and like we were using the red Solo cups, I would wash them out, put them in the recycle. They don't take that anymore. Shredded paper. They don't take shredded paper anymore. And styrofoam. Styrofoam is a big no-no also. And the peanut wrap,
That's
You know,
styrofoam. Yeah.
So they don't take that.
I thought styrofoam was they did take as for recycling now, but
You throw that in the regular trash.
really,
And see, there was a lot of changes, and I was kind of disappointed because, man, I mean, I was recycling everything in my house, but I understand.
Well, I mean, the challenge I think is that you have to have the market for that,
Right.
and it has to make a profit in the
And it was costing the city money.
right.
And so that's what he told me. And
one
as
of the
disappointing
things-
as it was, I
one of the things that
understood.
New Hanover County did way back when, out near the landfill, but it was also near the landfill was along 21 north, leaving Wilmington. The plants out there used steam to heat their buildings and for other purposes too. New Hanover County put an incinerator in and sold the steam or sold the heat coming from it, which produced steam to heat all these other places.
Yeah, I know a lot of communities use they capture the methane gas and sell the methane gas from the landfills. So there are a lot of ways that the energy can be recycled through that, and I think that's as landfills become more and more expensive, we're going to have to focus on
Taking up a lot of room.
Yeah, I was thinking about that yesterday, Mike. I'm glad you brought that up. It was Monday when I put out my trash bin. And, I had been cleaning out some more stuff in the garage, and somebody had dumped a bin of actual Christmas lights in my driveway behind my mailbox, well, to the side of the driveway, and it had cords and stuff, and they're kind of old lights. I put it on there, tried to find the owner, don't know how they came to be there, and I ended up throwing those in the trash to get rid of them. And I'm thinking, if I'm doing this and everybody else in the city and the county are doing the same, how do you get rid of all that at the landfill?
Well, I mean, that's the challenge that they have right now is the space that's available and how much space it is, and that that's going to be the challenge as we move forward. How to keep it cost effective so that nobody wants their taxes to go up.
Right.
And it is expensive to buy that land and to do all the processes that need to happen to make sure that it's environmentally friendly based on state regulations.
Do you burn all this stuff? Or do you dig a big hole, throw it in there and burn it? I mean, how do you get rid of all this trash?
Most of it they just put in a big hole. And so that is extremely expensive, and a lot of communities are facing challenges with being able to do that. That's why recycling is important.
There's one place on just right alongside I-95, just north of Pompano Beach, Fort Lauderdale area. When we used to go there regularly, that place has gotten bigger, and they got a mountain there now, and it started out as nothing but just a landfill. But they covered it over, and they plant grass on it, and they moved from one section to another. And every section that they kind of half complete, they move to another spot in the same field same area, and they plant grass on it, and they make it look like a mountain. The coastal part of Florida has no mountains, no hills. They don't even have molehills there. It's flatter than flat. But that's what they did there. And it looks good. They did a lot of work to make that happen.
When I was in Tennessee, our pistol range was in the landfill.
Was it?
Well, a reclaimed landfill.
Why not?
That's where they did it because
Backstop was great.
yeah. Well, and the fact that that property could be reused for a purpose, was important.
Did you guys ever go out and dig up all your lead at your ranges?
And we have.
We did too.
In
Wilmington.
And actually, here in Jacksonville, we had a company that came out and got all the lead out of the bank. And then about 10 or 15 years ago, we redid the range, and there's a rubber backstop there. I don't know if you've been out there since we did that.
Been out there.
And
15
It's
years.
let me go.
well, it's a bullet trap, and it traps the lead.
It's much better.
And then every 6 months they come and mine the lead, and they pay the city for
Wow.
the cost of the lead because lead is so expensive.
It's also toxic if it continues staying there in the land. It can't be ever used for anything else. That's a good thing to do then. And way back when, well before you got here, a guy named Gordon Bradley, he was a gun enthusiast, and he set up a reloading station. And not only did we recycle the lead that was fired out there, melted it down and cast our own bullets. Oh my. And I used to do it too, personally. I'd do 500 rounds a week so I could go shoot. It was cheaper.
I'm checking the no-nos for recycle, and I just found where
You can't do
I
what
have
you've been doing.
violated.
Oh my God, they're coming to get you.
Yeah, it's
You had
just
the
like,
right
this
to
is
remain silent.
crazy.
I'd suggest it.
No receipts can contain non-recyclable layers and chemicals. That's why you cannot put receipts like you get from the grocery store. It's paper. I always balled it up and threw it in a recycle. No,
Why not?
because it can contain chemicals. The ink that's on the paper. See, I'm telling you, no paper towels or napkins, no styrofoam coffee cups, no red Solo cups. That's what I'm telling you. I'm going to put all this on I did do. I'll put links, everybody. You can go look at it. But
We can do that periodically because those things change.
yeah. Well, I remember I think it was 2019 when it changed. And I was like, why? But I understand why. It's like the mayor said, is more cost effective to go with this program that we're on right now.
Yeah.
And look, that's garbage man will come tell you in a heartbeat if you've got something in there that doesn't belong. I've had notes on my trash cans before.
Well, that
I try.
that was part of what they're trying to do is educate people so
Right.
that it doesn't have to be sorted and
Right.
removed.
And no
Right.
bodies either.
Yeah.
Take
Yeah.
them directly
Because
to the
it-
landfill.
You take some if you're trying to sort all that stuff. The less time that you sort it, the better off you're going to be,
No, I understand.
and the less money it's going to
Time
cost.
is money.
And wash your cans and bottles out before you
Yes,
put them in
do
there. Do
that.
not put them in there dirty.
Now, and my last dealing, we had somebody in here, don't put the bottle caps back on those 2-liter bottles or the little 16-ounce bottles or whatever.
Oh, I
Do
do.
those separately.
Why?
I have no clue. I remember that.
Oh,
My wife reminds me every week. Take the bottle caps off.
okay. All right. I'll stop doing that.
I don't know if
But I
that's
just
true.
figured when they go to dump the can, those little caps will come out and roll all over the road.
Only if yeah, right. No.
Well, Mike, now you're talking about a landfill. What's the projected timeline are we looking at? Are we running out of room now?
I don't know. That's the
They started running out of room the first load they dumped there. Because there is a finite place.
Right.
You get to a certain level, and that's it, Jack.
Mm.
and they have to buy more property, and
And prepare it, and
it's expensive process.
landfill property after it's used, because a lot of the stuff that's dumped in there it's not toxic necessarily, but it doesn't decompose all at the same
Right.
rate.
I mean,
And
in that big hole, you'll have refrigerators, and tires, and
Well, now for you folks that want to, if you got refrigerators and you've got other stuff, there's ways to recycle that.
right.
Okay, in some of the metal recycling
Mhm.
places, I just load my trailer up when I got a bunch of stuff. and
I
all
call a guy
that
that collects junk and let him come get mine. He
Well,
can
I
do
just take it up. It's about 2 miles from me, and I take it up there, and they give me some money, cash,
it. Oh.
and I don't declare it either.
Um,
Paid for it once, I get a little
Tell
money
him.
back.
I'm calling IRS today.
High pressure is moving offshore today. A low pressure system will lift off the coast tomorrow, just ahead of a strong cold front that's coming in on Thursday. Yep, today offshore northwesterly winds about 5 knots. Southwesterly this afternoon, seas only 2 feet, and they're kind of close together, making for some kind of bumpy rides across that ocean. Sounds and rivers will be flat, increasing to a light chop in the afternoon tomorrow. Southwesterly winds 15 to 20. Seas 3 to 5 feet, 2 to 3 near shore. Sounds and rivers choppy. A chance of rain in the morning, then rain likely in the afternoon that Thursday. Westerly winds 15 to 20, becoming northwesterly 20 to 25 in the afternoon. Gust up to 30 knots. Seas 5 to 7 feet. It's going to be sloppy out there. 3 to 5 near shore. Sounds and rivers choppy, increasing to rough in the afternoon. Now here's the bad news.
Today, sunny with a high near 59. Tonight, mostly clear with a low around 36. Wednesday, a chance of afternoon showers, mostly cloudy with a high near 59. Thursday, a slight chance of rain mixing with snow after 10 a.m., then gradually ending partly sunny with a high near 44. So we'll wait and see.
I hope not.
I'm right there with you.
No, you're city council now, so your problems that you had or did not have that could happen again at some point in time, I guess, because this is the wave of what's creating hate and discontent across the country. Protests. When they get out of control, they become riots. There's a level here, right? Sometimes they start out intentionally as a riot, but hopefully not here. Protests getting out of control. Citizens saying, we don't want you to let the ICE people or federal cops to come in here and enforce the laws. We don't want them to enforce the laws here. Basically, is what they're saying without saying that in some places. How would y'all react to that?
Well, immigration is a complex issue, but if the law needs to change, it needs to change, and we have a process for that. If the laws are on the books, when you take an oath, you say you're going to uphold them, and I feel sorry for the ICE officers that they're out there doing what they've sworn that they're going to uphold.
Do you ever have to make any arrests when you're a police officer that for laws that you just said were kind of stupid that should not have to be?
Everybody
does.
Every police officer does. Every police officer has to enforce the law.
Mhm.
And the thing about the officers themselves or the departments, they don't get to choose what those laws are. Those laws are made by the state, they're made by the municipality, they're made by the federal government, and they don't have the luxury of saying, well, I don't like this law or I don't like this law. Well, they have they can set priorities, obviously, but even when you're setting priorities, if it's a blatant violation of the law, it ought to be addressed. And there's a lot of discretion on how they can address it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's their responsibility to enforce those laws.
Now, I'm going to try to make this simple for some of the folks out there. Let's just say we have we got a bunch of jurisdictions inside the city limits of Jacksonville. Jacksonville PD, my primary mission is to work and serve the citizens of Jacksonville. We got the Hounslow Sheriff's Office. Do they have jurisdiction in the city limits?
They sure do.
Okay, so their drug unit can come into the city limits.
They do, and on a regular basis.
And not tell anybody about it. Come in and make arrests, snatch people up, put them in jail, right?
That's correct.
Can the Highway Patrol do that? How about wildlife?
They
How
can.
about the State Bureau of Investigation? How about the FBI?
there's all those agencies have concurrent jurisdiction.
Now, what happens if you, at the city of Jacksonville, decide your police department, or not you, but the citizens, the city council, or whatever, we don't want them to come in here and enforce these laws?
Well, there's nothing to stop them from enforcing the laws. I mean, that's what they're charged to do.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of agencies don't want ICE there, but they still have a responsibility to keep the peace.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to make sure that it's safe.
You're reading my mind with the next question. Yeah. So what happens when you say, I'm just not going to get out there and help them, or I'm going to stand in their way by not helping them?
Well, I mean, the important part is to make sure it's safe for our community, you know, and you know, that's the number one reason to have a police department, is to ensure the safety of the community, to make sure that you know, people don't get hurt, and you know, regardless of what other things. It's just like if somebody's operating a store, you know, to some extent, you know, the idea that, you know, that if there's a problem there, we want to make sure that we keep the peace, you know, regardless of your, you know, what you think should be done, or what you believe should be done. You know, the idea that you want to make sure that, you know, that's why they call them peace officers.
Yes, it is.
You know, the goal is to make sure that they're safe in their communities. And I know that a lot of agencies say, you know, that their job is not immigration, and you know, that's strictly a federal thing. But you know, if there's people interfering, just like you know, blocking roads and things like that, then it becomes a little bit different than simply enforcing immigration laws.
It might not be something that a police officer in Jacksonville would normally go out and do and look for immigration laws to enforce. But if something comes up, and a police officer can enforce those federal laws too.
Well, you know, they can put them on a detainer,
Right,
and they
to a
can,
certain point,
you
yeah.
know, and then the federal government will come in and take care of them, you know. But you know, that's a policy decision on how that is handled.
Sure.
in many communities.
All right, going back, you covered the solid waste report, and I know in your last workshop you talked also about intergovernmental support agreement, IGSA, for water and sewer.
Oh, I think that's going to be a win-win situation for the Marine Corps and
what exactly does it detail?
So we do have some agreements with the military right now.
Mm-hmm.
For example, the traffic lights. You know, we have this intergovernmental agreement that allows our traffic folks to go out on the base and repair lights. We have an intergovernmental agreement with them that has to do with domestic violence. We have one that deals with the 911 center. So if and that's a partnership between the base, the city, and the county. So if a call, if for example, we had a crash that was right there at when the base was letting out near the Wilson Gate,
Right.
and you know, our 911 center had 100 and some calls. Well, those calls rolled over to the base, and then they rolled over to the county, so that we could make sure that, you know, obviously we were responding to that.
Yeah.
But there could have been another emergency in there.
Mm-hmm.
So we have these because we're all one community.
Right.
And what we want to do is make sure, and this particular one, it's actually pretty exciting, is going to allow us to be more effective and efficient, and possibly save money by partnering with the base to work on their sewer lines and things like that. And I think those are ways that governments can work together to be more effective, so that, you know, you don't have A and you don't have B and you don't have C, you work it together and you get the cost of the economy by buying in bulk and being able to make sure that we're making use of all of people's time and so so this is exciting when we're talking about how we can work with the base to make our community a better place to live and to keep our costs down.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, capital improvement plan.
Now that's going to be we've been talking about the capital improvement plan and some of that has to do with the 400 acres and how we're going to build those fields and look at things that are going to bring folks to Jacksonville. Because I remember when my son was playing soccer, we would drive, to Wilmington or we would drive to Wilson, and and there was a hotel room or especially if we were going to Asheville to play in a soccer tournament. I mean, there's a hotel room, there's food, and why aren't we bringing that here?
Right.
And I think the project Jacksonville Uptown, that's going to be something that's going to bring folks in here and increase our revenues through tax dollars from people from other communities, which I think is important when we're talking about the cost of everything. When you talk about the IGA, when you talk about when we talk about sewer, when we talk about water, when we talk about parks and rec, police and fire, we want to be as cost effective as we can because we don't want to raise taxes on the property owners. That and that sales tax revenue helps the entire community. It helps the county, it helps the city, and it helps us make our community a better place.
And a lot of communities have talked about something called consolidation, which just generally irritates a lot of folks in those counties from time to time. That means have one government, but some of those counties that are irritated with that concept, and the people are irritated with it, have done things like inspections department. Instead of having 2 inspections or 3 or 4, whatever the number of municipalities that have an individual inspections units, have one, because everything is inspected the same way, basically. Have one combined city county inspections unit.
And that's
because there's a long waiting period for contractors from time to time.
And that's something I think that we're going to be looking at over the next couple of years is how we streamline that process. But you're right, consolidation has been on the forefront. When they Charlotte Mecklenburg is a good example. But but a lot of those communities, Huntersville, Cornelius, Mint Hill,
they didn't participate.
No. And part of that is the benefits of local control, and sometimes if you have a big government like that, you lose your voice. And I think that's one of the beauties of living in Jacksonville is, everybody has a voice and it's important for us to hear what they.
In Columbus County, there was the primary city is Whiteville. And they had at one time they decided they were going to consolidate, and they did for a while. It turned out didn't work out so good for them. I'm not sure exactly why, but they went back. They had a consolidated city county government, a Columbus County Police Department, and a sheriff's office who has constitutional duties, a Whiteville Police Department, and then they had a Whiteville City school system. In addition to this is a small rural community, whole community. Then they had a Whiteville City school system and a Columbus County school system, which really seemed like, who was thinking this through? They had so many different directions they were going.
Well, and like I said, Mecklenburg County was one of those that
yes, they did
that and a lot of communities look at consolidation, and there are some some benefits to consolidation, but there are also some challenges. You know,
Who's in charge?
well, and how those services are provided. You know, and I mean, you know, I know that we talk about animal control, and you know, the city doesn't operate animal control, so sometimes, you know, if somebody is complaining about it, they call their city council person, and there's not a lot they can do.
Nothing.
Right.
You know, and so when you consolidate and when you lose some of those services, you also lose some of that local control. You know, because as it gets bigger, it becomes more difficult to focus on, you know, what's good for those individuals. And like I said, I've learned over my years as a law enforcement officer that the citizens have the power, but sometimes a government that's so big, you know, it's very difficult to navigate that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's easier to navigate it in a smaller town.
Well, and not that they would or anything else, or not that there's any problem, but let's just say the animal control system here in Onslow County. Okay, good. Call the county and but I live in the city, and they're not responding to me like I kind of think they would, especially after hours.
Yeah,
Or they say they don't come over here to do this and that needs to be done in the city. They'll take care of it out in the county or whatever. Not that they would do it, but you as a city council have no control over them.
that's true. That's true. And that's some of the challenges that you receive when you consolidate. You know, when I came here 21 years ago, the city had animal control, and I think the night that I was sworn in, they did away with it. And you know, that presents some challenges.
Right.
I remember
And
Mr.
so-
Straight to the
Antoine.
county.
Remember Mr. Antoine,
Yes. Mhm.
animal control officer for the city?
You know, and I know that a lot of communities across the country have had challenges with their sewer, because sewer drives growth.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the city may want to grow, and the county may not want to grow. You know, just what's happening in like Holly Ridge and down toward Hampstead, where you know it's very contentious about the building because of the traffic and the infrastructure and things like that. So I think from that standpoint, our city has the ability to control its destiny, and I think that's important. That's important when you talk about how do you improve the quality of life, is being able to set your destiny, and I think our community, I think our community is poised to do that. I think that 400 acres is going to do that.
Sure.
And I think when you talk about the IGAs,
Right.
and those intergovernmental agreements, you know, that recognizes that it's not, you know, it's not either the city or the county. It's us jointly together saying these are the things that we're going to do.
Well, you're talking about people having a voice in the city. And for those that live in the city right now, the city of Jacksonville does have a community needs assessment survey online that you can go in and take and voice your concerns, voice what you would like to see. That's open until February 20th. I put the link on our page, but you can go to their Facebook, or you can go to their website, click on that link.
And I think they have some community meetings as well that are coming up.
Yes. I think they just had one the 1st of January, first week in January or something like that. And then there'll be more. But this is continuous, because I think they did that last year, didn't they do it?
They did.
And so
they did.
it's a continuous thing that they're
You know, and part of it is the cost of housing and some of the
Right.
housing challenges that are in, you know, it just doesn't affect Jacksonville. It affects the entire country.
absolutely.
You know, somebody that's starting out and they're trying to get, you know, home ownership, a young couple, it's very challenging right now
Right.
with the cost of homes and the cost of,
It
Yeah.
is. And then taxes are about to go up on our homes. So insurance is
not.
about to go up.
No,
Yeah,
they're
and
not.
assessments
We're
right
just-
around the corner.
We're just going to refuse to pay.
If they come back and say my house is worth this, I'm going to sell it and get that. Then I'm just
Good
going to go
luck.
live in a bus.
Good
I'm
luck.
going to go live in a bus.
Boat. You can move from
It's too
jurisdiction
cold
to
in the water.
jurisdiction.
it wouldn't be a good day to live in a bus today, though.
That's true. That's true.
Uh, budget time is here.
Mm-hmm.
It's never ending budget. Even once you get it approved, you're thinking about the next one. I'm sure. You guys are right smack dab in the middle of it right now because you've only got 6 months to go, 5 months.
Yeah, that's going to be, the most important part is, you know, people are struggling right now. Just like you talk about the insurance,
Yeah.
in a coastal community, insurance has been going up and up and up. And, so how can we still provide quality services, but make sure that's cost effective? And I think that's, as far as what my goal is to try to keep the taxes as low as we can, and but still provide quality service, because I think I think that's really important when we're talking about economic growth. I mean, that's a way that we can increase our tax base and not put a burden on the homeowners in our community through property taxes.
Well, what has Joed presented lately? Because I understand they've gone under this big remake, and they've got a lot of big plans for us.
Well, I think that's part of what they're trying to do. They're looking at a strategically how they're going to, not just in the city, but in the county as well, strategically look at how economic growth is going to improve our quality of life. And I think that's really the way that we do that, because, we've talked on the store, on these empty buildings, like the empty Sears building and things like that.
I drove by it last night or yesterday, and I thought about it. So what in the
Such a
world?
waste.
Yeah. And so how do we make sure that buildings are being utilized for small businesses, because that's the bulk of our gross national product.
So folks who own that place, what I would do is make sure I had big enough doors that would allow cars to come in, strip out an area in the store. Those walls are all movable inside. Strip it out and just make it an open floor so you can move cars in, boats in, and whatever, and have boat shows year round and car shows year round for not only this community, but for other areas that would like to do the same thing. Indoor.
When I was in Ohio, one of the things that I saw was this community was tearing down its Sears store.
Mm-hmm.
And what they were doing was building condos onto a mall that had, so that you could have a walkable neighborhood, similar to Mayfair.
Right,
but,
sure.
so they're
retrofitting instead of starting from scratch like that.
Right.
Well, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of opportunity with Joed. And I think they can, I think it's extremely important to our community, because when we talk about growth, we talk about smart growth,
Sure.
So how do we do that without impacting,
In a negative way, impacting the school system, law enforcement, fire department. Everything's going to be impacted by additional people.
And you drive, if you have to drive to Wilmington
Oh, God.
at certain times of the day, you can't get through Hampstead.
Mm.
No.
And some of that is, obviously the growth is, when I remember driving down there and there not being any, and now you drive through there, there's apartment complex, every area there has these multifamily homes, which are needed, but they don't have the infrastructure to handle it, And here we are, we're still waiting on that bypass to be done. And that's probably another year out,
At least.
because my daughter lives in Wilmington, and trying to go see her at certain times.
Yeah, they're
of the
supposed
day.
to open up
Pack
a
a bag.
section from 17, and it drops you out at 210, that intersection there, which will be helpful, because my daughter lives right in the heart of Hampstead, and I have to take the back roads to get even across the highway to turn into her housing there. I had to go to the light at the Food Lion and travel back behind all the housing areas to get to hers because you can't make a left off of 17 into her neighbor into Deerfield. Stop.
As conservatives as you are,
crazy.
why would you turn left for anything?
Would you just
I
stop?
didn't know you had a left side to your truck.
I like NASCAR too.
Speaking of housing, New River. It's not it's not owned by the city. The city government
private,
has got
yeah.
no or very limited control over what happens there, or that even if it's just nothing happens there, there's not a whole lot that the city can do, but there are certain things you can maybe help. Perhaps is there anything?
Was
that
there
can be
still a
done?
lawsuit pending on that?
There is still a lawsuit pending on that.
It's
And
ridiculous.
you know that's been a challenge there. It's definitely an eyesore, and that's part of the challenge. That that you just don't want to put a Band-Aid on it. You want quality housing.
Sure.
Right.
If they're gonna remodel those, they need to remodel them so that it's quality housing.
I'd
And
like
that-
to see them go in there and rather that area Eastwood and Onslow and where the park is at, be able just to city buy that, mow all the houses down, extend the park and recreation, and do a mini Mayfair there. That would be so cool.
Who will pay for it?
I know everything costs money. If we had the money, we could just buy it from these people who own New River Apartments and then mow everything down and build nice apartments. But then again,
Who's going to build it?
you would have to contract it out because the city doesn't want to build them.
No, they don't.
No,
I
so
don't want the city to
it
build it.
takes money.
Not in my tax dollars.
It's just a nice thought,
Well, I mean, part of the 400 acres is that kind of concept. Where,
right?
in a lot of communities are looking at walkable neighborhoods and which is becoming more mainstream.
Yes.
I mean, we kind of went from not walking neighborhoods. I remember as a young kid in Bristol growing up. Everything was downtown, so you walk. You drive to downtown, park your car, and then you'd walk everywhere. And a lot of communities are going back to that. And even I remember walking down to the community store. And so that walkable neighborhoods are becoming more mainstream and more what people are looking for. So I think there's a lot of opportunities there.
Right.
But again, when somebody buys a property, you talk about conservative values. You want them to be able to do what they want to with that property.
It's their property.
Yeah, and so that balance between the regulations to make sure that it's safe and make sure that it's clean. When you talk about the sewer and things like that, because there were a lot of those buildings that are challenged, and so making it safe for the community and balancing that with the property owner's ability to do what they want on their property.
What you suggested, if you had, if a government or an entity could do something and build on around it some nice homes, a nice recreation area, and a big old, like maybe 4 acres of garden space, and let the residents there have a little plot. It doesn't have to be big to grow a lot of vegetables.
A lot of communities have
They do
that.
I know they
A
do.
lot
I
of
just thought about it. That'd be really cool there, wouldn't it?
a lot have community gardens and things like that. And I think
It'd be so cool.
It would.
the baseball team that's down there, trying to revitalize that area with
Sure.
that is
great.
is important. Yeah.
Yes.
Can you imagine having something like that? Remember
It'd be so
Victory
cool.
Gardens? Remember hearing
Yes.
about Victory Gardens? In World War II, it was a big thing.
Right. I knew that because you talked about it last
I know
week.
you did. Talked about it. But I've seen some of those in latter years, and even in projects where people had like a square about 1/10 the size of this area is their front lawn in a projects area. There was one guy in Wilmington, one family in Wilmington. They had fixed that thing up. They grew vegetables in different layers, and they had lots of good stuff there all the time.
Well, my grandmother, that was a big thing with
That
her.
was the thing.
Yeah, she grew her own vegetables
Mhm.
and she had chickens, and she lived in the middle of a city.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
So where are we at right now with our 400 acres? What's next on the project list?
And so they're working through a contractor to help move that forward. And I think you're going to start to see some progress here in the next year.
Good.
And so that is a really exciting project, because I think it's going to generate quite a bit of economic growth in that particular area. And again, that part of the challenge that with that is how do we install the infrastructure?
Mhm.
And I think that's the first step. How do we increase the sewer and increase that capacity so that we can service that area
Right.
through water and sewer? Because water and sewer drive growth.
Oh, yeah.
So much.
If you don't have it
involved.
available, they're
Right.
not going to come.
No.
Right. Well, you've got to be able to put this stuff there. So
And the problem that we face here, even the city, because you've got to build roads in a lot of cases. In the county, they got to build roads, but the county doesn't build roads. That's a DOT.
That's right.
DOT. And DOT does not build roads on speculation that somebody's going to
not
come
until
and
you
build
need
it.
it. That's right.
They're buy it and use it and use it. So that's always an issue. That was the problem at Mayfair. Eastwood Road was a 2-lane road.
Mm-hmm.
And they said they built this big project over there, and then DOT does not move overnight.
And that's what's happening in Hampstead and,
Yes, it is.
and some of those other communities. And it was contentious
1978.
in Holly Ridge too, about the growth and about how it's impacting their community as well.
Growth is going to happen.
Hampstead was fighting back in the 70s and 80s. They were fighting hard. We don't want to bypass. Our 12 businesses here in the town, it depends upon people driving through and stopping.
78, weren't we still 2 lanes on 17?
Pretty much.
When did that? Yeah.
3 lanes, I think, through
Right.
Hampstead.
Wow.
But that balance of how we balance, how we balance the growth to make sure that we're doing it smart, It's just like when you're talking about 1978, had they done a bypass then we wouldn't be, you wouldn't have to wait an hour to get through Hampstead to get to Wilmington.
Right. Oh, gosh, it's dreadful. I try to go at certain times of the day when I know that it's
Between
going
1
to be
and 2
good.
is great. AM.
Yeah. Here's a question going back to what we first started discussing when you came in. And it's just I'm curious. It's no complaints. The mayor, if we were to have an emergency right here in Jacksonville, say we had a bad storm come through and he had to put out a directive to where, we had a curfew or we couldn't do this or that. Is that something that he sits down and discusses with the whole council and the council decides together? Or is it mainly a mayor decision?
It's obviously he keeps us informed.
Right.
But that usually comes from now the fire chief. When I was a public safety director, there would be some discussions about that, because
That makes sense.
there's a lot of times people drive through water, they drown, there's electrical lines down, and that becomes a real challenge trying to keep people safe. And so, over the years, we've had a lot of discussions. When I was the police chief, we had a lot of discussions about, because the county would do it because of North Topsail.
Right.
And in the beach areas, they would.
It's a challenge on a beach.
Yeah. And so they would have a curfew, but here in the city, we wouldn't have those challenges. And so our ability to look at how we do that to make sure that, it's just not a whim. We want to make sure that, there are some safety issues. And I remember doing Florence, I mean, right over here, we had 5-6 feet of water over the roads there.
Oh.
And, people don't understand. You drive through that water, you think that the road is there and you get 5 feet of water, it's going to push your car.
Yeah, it used to be there, but it's, a lot of times rushing water going across the road will undermine the road first, then the pavement falls in. Then you got a trench.
Yeah, you don't know what's underneath that water. It could be a huge hole.
Yeah, and I mean, we had during Florence, we had quite a few areas that were flooded, and trying to keep people out of those, taxes the firefighters, and they had to do numerous rescues.
Down at on a beach, they have got some real challenges there, and I went through a couple of hurricanes down at Cary Beach and Carolina Beach, but when the buildings get destroyed and the things are torn down and whatever, there's generally a lot of people will have evacuated, and they put out the request and then a mandatory, but people don't have to with mandatory. You know how that goes. But then they can be required to stay on their property after fact. Here's the problem that occurs there. You get all the sightseers when they come down, and among the sightseers are going to be looters. And somebody who's left home and their home is destroyed, their vacation home is destroyed, and people go, oh, there's a nice couch over there or refrigerator. And that got to be a real challenge. The other thing is when buildings are torn down and all the roads are mostly sand, and there are things like 2x4s with 16-penny nails sticking all the way through them that are covered by sand. That was a challenge. People did not understand that it's for your safety.
It is. It is.
Period.
They, when they do a curfew, it's basically for their safety. And to make sure. I mean, it's just like the traffic lights are out. And
oh God.
Then it becomes a real challenge trying to get traffic, because
you don't have cops that can work on a major intersection.
Yeah, and a number of years ago, we bought generators. Yeah. And so if you look at each traffic light, there's a connection to put generators on. We did that.
Wow.
We did that after. Yeah, we did that after one of the hurricanes, and now it takes a little bit of time, maybe 20, 30 minutes, and they'll hook the generators up and run the traffic lights through generators.
I did not know that.
Wow, I didn't know that either.
Hopefully the generators start, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I know they're maintained. That's the good thing.
Yeah, and that's something.
You have to refuel them.
Yeah, you do have to refuel them, and so when they put those, even during Florence, when we put those generators out, we had to have somebody constantly refueling them. And
do you ever have to chain them down?
We do chain them down.
Hey, there's a free generator out there.
Yeah.
I'm, at least somebody was doing something about it. I did not even know that.
Well, actually, that's something we learned in Florida when they have a lot of hurricanes.
Okay.
They
stealing the generators.
Well, yeah, they would steal.
It's crazy.
But what we did was there's some eye bolts there that we could bolt them to, and then just basically drive by to make sure that they're being operated and they're chained down. And
you get a report the lights are out here again. Well, you know where to go.
and we over the years we've used that a number of times when somebody's when we've had a major power outage and it's for an extended period of time. Even when we have we're talking about hurricanes, but we also can talk about snowstorms and ice storms.
Yeah, watch out for Thursday.
Well, I mean, when they affect the lines,
knocks them out. So, yeah. Well, anyway.
Well, hopefully we won't see much of anything like that this winter.
We appreciate the update, and there's a lot of stuff here that's a lot of content, a lot of things happening in the city that a lot of us don't know about.
We appreciate knowing and hearing about it, and you updating us on it. So.
We're excited about the 400 acres. I think that's
I am
Well, I'm
too.
sure you are. You should be.
Next door to me.
I'm excited about New Bridge Street because that is an absolutely gorgeous
Beautiful.
project.
Yes.
It was a pain in the butt, I know, for a lot of folks for what, 3 or 4 years.
like
Yeah,
Piney
but-
Green Road.
Yeah.
But I think, I think that's stimulated some business down there, and I think it's going to stimulate more
It
business.
will.
down
You
there.
Yeah.
know, I can see some mom and pops wanting to go into some of those places down there,
Nice.
like they used to
nice.
have.
And they had that where they closed the street and had music. It was
Yes.
Right.
And I went down
That
there.
rock
It
the
was,
rock.
Perfect
Yeah.
place for
Rock
it.
the rock.
it was very, very, very nice.
I think
mean,
they should continue having those once it warms up. Oh,
They had-
let's have some more.
they had a number of food trucks out there.
Oh,
and,
yes.
That's just a great venue for the food trucks too.
and it was that was a beautiful night. I'm
Do
hoping
you
they
need
have
an
more.
ink pen?
These are some good quality ink pens. 'Cause
I
I'm still
was
using them.
giving those away like crazy, and every time I thought I got to the bottom of the bag, there was more. I'm like, oh.
Anyway, is it what you thought it was going to be as a councilman?
Well, I mean, it's
The transition.
yeah, it is. It's a little bit different than
It's
what I was
got to
used
be
to.
hard. The transition has to be hard because I'm sure there's moments that you want to say, as police chief, and you go, "Wait, I can't do that anymore."
Well, the other thing is it's a learning process too.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of things that I haven't, I mean, I sat through a lot of council meetings and heard about those things, but now getting more deeply involved in them, I think, because that's the important part about, how we look at growth, how we make our community a better place for our children.
Okay.
Well, how's the new city council working together? Doing well?
I think so.
Good.
Okay, good.
Very good.
Well, I'm having some pictures printed from swearing in night too. I do it generally about once or twice a year, get all the stuff that I want printed. So,
I need to see them before you print them.
no.
That was a crowd that night.
I've got a couple of really good ones of
Yes.
his wife.
Oh, yeah.
There.
She's a lovely lady.
I like shooting with a long lens. People don't have to smile. They tend to want to pose when you get up close. But long lenses are great.
Anyway, please do come back on a regular basis. We'd love to have you in here so we can hear about what's happening with the city council, and because it's important, I know, to a lot of us, especially Rayford and myself, being that we live in the city. You do too. It's nice to have somebody from the city come on and tell us what's going on. So
Yeah.
thank
I
you.
need to have Mr. Ray and some of the other council
I do.
people
Oh,
come
we'd
on.
love that. Absolutely.
Absolutely would do.
Oh, we love Mr. Ray. He is a hoot. And have you found a new transportation services director yet? I think it's open till February 4th, a job seek.
Yeah, I think there's. And
How
the
much
city
does it
has.
pay? Can I apply?
I'm sure
Anthony did a great job.
he did a great
He
job.
did a great. Now
was-
he's assistant city manager. Right.
Anyway. All right. I still almost said chief again.
Well, he'll always
Councilman.
Yeah.
be chief councilman.
Chief councilman.
Chief councilman. Yep.
Uh,
Director.
Chief cook and bottle washer.
One day, I
I'm sure.
think he's going to be mayor when Sammy doesn't want
Oh.
to do it anymore. I think it's going to be our next mayor. Look at him. He's like, oh, let me get through this.
Okay, leave me alone is what he's saying. Shut up. is what
He
he's
did an
thinking.
excellent job on his campaign.
I know he
and
did.
so, he was a shoo-in.
And the people responded accordingly. So that's
Yes,
good.
yes. Very
Yeah,
well
good.
respected.
All right, Councilman.
Right.
Mike and Eric,
Councilman,
thank you.
that's so weird.
Thank
It is weird. I'm trying. We do
It's
appreciate
weird
you
to
coming
say
in.
Councilman.
Okay, folks, we'll be gone and we will see you tomorrow morning. I think it's Wednesday
9
hump day, and here we go again.
Here
See
we
what's
go.
going to be in store, and do not use the word Q or the word S.
You
H just
know,
doesn't apply right
I'm
now,
only
okay?
reading what the weather says. It's not intentional.
I won't censor you in a heartbeat. You're live and local, real
Oh,
talk.
She's got her snowflake up.
Oh, okay. Good God. You're live and local, real talk, where we're mostly awake at times and always never woke.
That's right.
You like that? Always never woke.
Mhm.
Bye. See you tomorrow.